Thank you for joining the third session of our Network and Cloud Security SASE Pro training. So this session is about securing SaaS and hosted applications with conditional access using dedicated IPs. Can be done without dedicated IPs, but the focus would be more on using dedicated IPs. In the previous two sessions, we focused more on the modern workplace security and the cyber gateways. So this is a slightly different topic, but this is part of the pro training. Uh, I have experts with me over here. So anytime during the course you have any questions, you can put those in Q&A and we will have those answered for you. So the focus is how you achieve conditional access, and we are going to dive deeper into that, what conditional access is, and so on. Like, and the idea is to provide the next level of security beyond MFA. So it's preventing unauthorized access to the SaaS applications and hosted applications. So Axiom has something, the traffic steering, like, so this is done as part of the traffic steering. So let's look at the big picture, which area we would be focusing on today. So what's going to happen is you have the applications on the right side, right? So you have some SaaS applications like Microsoft 365, Salesforce, or any other SaaS applications. And you may have hosted applications, like a lot of MSPs have your PSA RMM hosted somewhere in the data center or at a location, like, so same way you will protect those applications as well. Not only SaaS, but any hosted applications where you want to put in source IP based restrictions and rules. So for that, we need to egress on certain specific IPs that we call dedicated IPs that you will whitelist on the right side. So conditional access cannot just be achieved with Axiom. So there are two parts to that. Like Axiom will make sure that you have a egress IP, consistent egress IP, dedicated IP. So when you will egress, you will have that IP, and then you need to put those IPs as like a trusted IPs or trusted location. Sometimes some applications use that name as well on the right side to achieve the conditional access. So there are two parts to that, but our focus is more on what is Axiom's role in conditional access. So what from the left side, you will have an agent on the endpoint. Your things will be tunneled through the mesh, and you will be coming with your ISP IP address, or you may be traveling like a hotel, airport, or coffee shop. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. So there will be different public source IP. Inside that, you will have a tunnel IP. So Axiom Cyber Mesh strips all that off and conceals everything, because one of the things is also preserving privacy, right? So we remove all those things, and then we put in the new source IP, which is the Axiom Cyber Mesh IP, and then you appear to the applications on the right side as coming from Axiom, like a Axiom as your ISP. Like then they won't know which location you are coming from and so on. So you will have the consistent IP, not only for conditional access, but other things as well. Like when you go to your banks, if your source IP is constantly changing, they give you some grief there, right? But with the consistent IP, they know this is a trusted source you are coming from, and just the experience becomes better with that. So where conditional access fits into the bigger picture. So let's review. This was the SASE admin course that we did last year in the fourth quarter. So we covered generally the web security, DNS security, zero trust, secure private access. We also had a session on the mobile security, threat prevention, all the security controls, a lot of walk through the Axiom console, a lot of PSA RMM integrations. So that was the baseline, right? And then we went to Pro. So SASE Essentials or SASE Admin course is a prerequisite for the SASE Pro course, but in the SASE Pro, we are covering the topics under SASE Pro. Like the last two sessions were about modern workplace security, more focused on the edge firewall, SD-WAN, and so on. Like so, today we are going to cover the conditional access, and maybe geofencing a little bit. So the lot of these advanced controls is like getting to the next level of security. Like so, conditional access is one, but this goes hands in hands with, for example, geofencing and the single sign-on and MFA, because to come from that egress IP, you need to be on Axiom. And to get on Axiom, now you need to put on controls. If anyone can get on Axiom, come with that source IP, that defeats the purpose. Like then you can put in geofencing and other controls, like make it difficult to get on Axiom. Of course, you have your credentials and all that for Axiom, but if those credentials are stolen, like you can put additional controls, make it difficult to get on Axiom to come up from that dedicated source IP. So you will see these some of the topics we are going to cover in the next sessions, they are related, right? So, and this is a list of the pro topics. So this is really where there's a green under pro that we are going to cover in this pro session. So today's conditional access, other topics are listed. We already did I think we started in reverse order. So we already did the modern workplace security. Like, so there are now few things left. So let's get into the conditional access and what it is really, right? So what is happening is you want to create a software-defined virtual perimeter around your SaaS and hosted applications. You can do it in your for your public cloud as well, like access to Azure. Like you may have all your keys and credentials, but if they are stolen, anyone can get to your Azure tenant, right? Even there, you can put in this conditional access. You say, okay, I'm only going to allow when you're coming with this green IP that Axiom gives you, right? And you are going to deny access from like 4 billion other IPs, right? And the benefit of that is that IP, because internet, what is the lowest level protocol in the internet? It is the IP protocol, like TCP and everything sits on top of that, right? And some of the previous sessions, when we had a cyber gateway firewall at a location, we discussed some of that network segmentation using VLANs, like, so that's a layer two protection. That's even more lower level, like, so that's even stronger protection. Like when you are local at a location, you can create VLANs and segments because now you are stopping things at layer two, right? But in the internet, you have a IP is your the base layer. Of course, because internet is a network of networks. Each network has their layer two, but the end-to-end protocol is the IP. And you want to block threats and unauthorized access at the IP layer now. Like so, so this virtual perimeter is created at the IP layer, and you only say you can enter if you have this IP that I have whitelisted. Like so, you stop things at the door. You will not let the other people come in there. So the idea is even if these guys have your credentials, somehow we have seen a lot of ways they can get access to your credentials, even MFA and all those things. Even you can have 3, 4 levels of protection, but they steal your session cookie and other things. Like with the session cookie, they can log in. And but their IPs is not going to be the same as this green IP coming from Axiom. So this is how you are going to prevent the unauthorized access to your critical applications like your Microsoft 365 tenant or other your public cloud, Azure instances, or your hosted apps or any other SaaS apps. Like it can be Salesforce. A lot of our customers in the financial sector, like your customers, MSPs, have other like accounting applications and a lot of like different sensitive applications that they want to enable conditional access for. So as I said, there are two parts. You will get an IP from Axiom, but you then need to enter that IP on the right side. And we can look at a few examples over here. Yeah, so these will be the dedicated IPs coming on the right side. And you can skip some of the things. So, and the different, all applications that you want to uh, whitelist will have the instructions. Like, for example, if Salesforce, like if you have a Salesforce account, if I go in there, so they have something like you have this login IP addresses in profile, like you can enter, they tell you exactly how to enter these IPs and so on. Like, And same, we can walk down a little bit on Microsoft 365. Basically, once Axiom has given you a dedicated IP or a subnet or a range of IPs, you go create a named location, you make it trusted, and then you enter those IPs there. Now, Microsoft knows that they are only going to allow those IPs for access. Like so there are two parts. Like these IPs are Axiom IPs. You get these IPs from Axiom, but then you go whichever application you want to protect. Same if it's your Azure tenant, you will put these IPs as the trusted location. So you need to be coming with that source IP. And it is the source IP we are changing. Like so, not the yeah. We'll see. Like when you start over here, your packet has a destination IP that's going to your application. Is the IP of the destination. Basically, you put in a domain name like Microsoft.com. It gets resolved to a destination IP that you put in there. But then now you're coming with your source IP, right? You have a ISP and the Axiom's tunnel IP, and all those we manipulate to your source IPs because your you can be identified even for like concealing your uh, uh, identity for privacy and other reasons. You have to manipulate those source IPs. So that's what Axiom is doing. And here, of course, to get to the destination, you need that destination IP. You get there, and now that application, say Microsoft 365, is doing uh, a check on the source IP, which source IP you are coming from. Like so that's how the conditional access is done. With that one, we can get into the console now. So you will see you are familiar with the console. So I'm under zero trust policies. There's a traffic steering part in there, and you can see there are a number of things over here. Maybe we can do a. This was also part of the agenda. Quick review of these traffic steering, like in the mesh. So there are really three modes: intelligent traffic routing, conditional access. This is what we are going to focus on, and tunnel all traffic. Like so what is happening is this is your mesh, and right side is your applications, both private applications and public applications like SaaS. With the intelligent traffic routing, what is happening is, of course, your private traffic always flow through the mesh, but your internet traffic has a number of options. Like so, whatever we are discussing applies to your interbound traffic. That means traffic that will be going to the websites, SaaS applications, and other places. Wherever the destination has a public IP, like it's a, you that is SIA, right? So the first option, when it's tunnel all traffic, then all traffic is forced through the mesh on this red block, right? It goes this way, okay? And when you say intelligent traffic routing, then mesh decides, like some traffic will go through the mesh. In particular, your first request, like the mesh will say, okay, you want to go to Netflix. It already said it's a safe application. And then you may not go through the mesh, like for better performance, mesh may bypass the uh, the routing directly to the clients, right? But conditional access is that now for certain destinations, you're going to put those destinations like your Microsoft 365, your other hosted apps, where you always want to come from that egress IP, you will put those as applications so that they always go on the red path. Like remaining things, then you don't care in conditional access. You let the mesh decide, like for your Netflix, YouTube, or other standard websites. So let's look at the dashboard now in the console. So you can see these are the three modes: intelligent traffic routing, conditional access, and tunnel all traffic. So today we are going to focus on conditional access. And as you can see, I have this is my IP. So my console is already telling me that whenever I'm on conditional access or any applications I'm going to add, they will always egress with this source IP. Then you take this source IP and put that in Microsoft 365 or whichever application you need conditional access to, right? So assuming this is my conditional access, so I'm going to, for example, force something like, let's say, Microsoft 365. Uh, I can do, for example, login only. Like I want to include that. I want to select applications. Let me see if I think, yeah, there's already a application, Microsoft login. So you can see, I mean, you can select all Microsoft, or you can just select Microsoft login, because I just want to protect login, right? The remaining thing, I'll let it intelligent traffic routing, but my login will always go from this IP that I have whitelisted at Microsoft 365. But I can also do all Microsoft 360, yeah, for example, this application. Then I save it. Yeah, you see it appeared over here. This is a include. That means this application, all Microsoft. This is everything Microsoft will always egress from this IP. Now I go whitelist at Microsoft 365. Right? So this is how you do it. And you can also do, for example, if I have hosted applications, now I can do applications, I can do domain names, I can do subnets and all that. So I can see these are my PSA or MM or some of these I hosted tools. Like they can be anything. Like I want to force certain destination. I also know the IPs of those. Like so maybe this is one IP, and this is I can add as many as I want, like, and so on, and I save it. So now whenever the destinations are these IPs, they will be forced through the mesh and will egress with that IP. So on the application side, on your hosted applications, you say, okay, only allow traffic from this IP. You know, I mean, a lot of even yeah, MSPs themselves are the one of the top targets for the bad guys, because once they have access to your tools, they can access, like particularly these, we have seen the issues with the remote management tools. They have access to every device of your customers and so on. So you want to put in additional controls protecting your own tools, like with these type of controls, like very fine granular controls, so that you limit the exposure, right? So this way you can keep adding as many applications you want. So why we are doing it? I mean, I can do tunnel all traffic, like then everything is going through the tunnel. And why even, yeah, then the same thing will happen. Like, so now everything will be forced and egress on this IP, but there's a little bit this red warning caution showed up over here. Like, because now you're forcing everything through the tunnel. We know, like some of your applications don't need to go through the tunnel, like the Netflix and other things. Yeah, sometimes you may see some latency or a little bit degradation in user experience if you force everything through the tunnel. So we recommend, I think you can see this is the recommended mode, conditional access. So you force things that you really need to force through the mesh. And then intelligent traffic routing decide for everything, like then for the user experience and all that, right? So a lot of our partners who learned about conditional access, they are picking this mode because this is a good balance between security and user experience, right? So this is the benefit of conditional access. But for you overall, as you can see, like with this SASE-based approaches or the network and cloud security, so these type of controls are now available, like where before you had just firewall at your office. Yeah, you have a IP from your ISP. You can whitelist that. Sometimes even your ISPs don't give you a static IP. They change it. You have this constant headache. But assuming you have an IP, you could whitelist. But now with hybrid work, your users are everywhere. Like they are as if coffee shops are traveling and they're coming from all those random IPs, right? You cannot now say what is your trusted location because your users are everywhere. Like everything is untrusted now, and you want to make them to come from one IP, one trusted IP, and then these SASE cloud type of security controls enable those type of capabilities. Since we are here, we were and as we were discussing, I want to make it difficult to get on Axiom, like because I said once, yeah, of course you have all the like you as a MSP partner, you have a company A, company B. There is a company specific tokens what Axiom has. Then there is a user name. There are a lot of controls, like even and you only push agent to the trusted devices through your RMM. So it's not like anyone can get into your tenant. Like so, Axiom has a number of controls there to be able to egress on that IP. But you want to put even more controls. Like so, in one of the upcoming sessions, we are going to discuss how you can enable single sign-on and MFA. Like so, you will go through some more advanced authentications before even you can get connected to Axiom, because to get on that egress IP is a privilege now, because it's a you have yeah, it is whitelisted on the right side, like, and you so but you want to make it difficult to egress on that IP, so you will do those type of things. And what we can also do are the egress controls, like so, or ingress controls, like so. So these are the controls. I think these are egress controls. That means if a endpoint is compromised, right, and now there is a malicious software that is going to call back to another country. Basically, your all destinations are in the US or maybe Canada or wherever, right? And you just allow traffic from those locations. Sorry, outgoing traffic just to those destinations. Like if, for example, software tries to call back to some place in like Eastern Europe or anywhere, it will be blocked because you have egress controls in place, like where traffic can head from your endpoints. Like, but ingress also, because ingress is where users can connect to Axiom. Right. So we said we can put in on these additional controls, but you can also put in controls over here. Like so, for example, I can create, I can block everything for the ingress, and then I can say, for example, I'm just want to pick one country, like only USA, or maybe I have maybe team in Mexico, like I can pick another one, like so. So now users from other countries cannot get on Axiom, like because I have this policy in place now. So so this is the ingress controls. And yeah, so with this one, now you are making it difficult, like to get on Axiom with the geofencing, because you are creating a virtual barrier around your SaaS and hosted applications. But now you connect to Axiom, you're also creating a fence around it, like where users can really connect to. And you can also add your custom ingress, like the source IPs and so on. So there's a lot of flexibility, like from which sources you can connect to Axiom. Yeah, I think with this one we covered today's topic, and I want to point another thing over here. So the next session is really the session 5 next week, which is about agentless zero trust access. So this is when you cannot put an agent on the endpoints. Like this applies to like contractors, consultants, part-time employees. When it's a bring your own device, other people don't want to put on agent on the endpoints. So this is the agentless zero trust access. And so, as we were discussing on the last session, we are going to discuss more these authentication using single sign-on, MFA, and others. And so session 4 is really the offline. There's a recording of this webinar. So this is basically application of what we discussed today, conditional access. So it's defeating evil proxy and Microsoft 365 account takeover attacks, like using the conditional access, the type of things that we discussed today. Okay, with this one, we can conclude today's session.